Welcome to our 9th week of digging deeper into our experience of prayer in the adult education ministry of Grace United Methodist Church in Winfield, Kansas. This is the third session of dealing with the perils of prayer, the dangers of prayer. It's not saying there's anything wrong with prayer, it's just that there's some perils and dangers we need to be aware of. And the first week we looked at prayer being a cop-out for doing good. Then we looked at prayer being a badge that's worn that sort of makes it clear that we are a person of faith. And this week we're exploring the practice of prayer as a practice based on justification by works. Now, your immediate reaction is, what in the world does prayer have to do with justification by works? My answer is that in my journey in ministry, I've experienced many persons who have adopted a practice of prayer that for them, that practice places them in a right relationship with God. The experience of salvation, and as a result, means that everything they do after they pray is right. It's a simple formula of salvation, and however, these persons, after they pray, often dehumanize others. They are agents of injustice. They choose to exercise judgment instead of mercy and live in pride about their relationship with God. Now, to understand justification by works, it's helpful to contrast it to justification by faith. And this understanding was emphasized by the Apostle Paul in his early leadership in the movement of the followers of Jesus. Justification by faith, according to Paul, affirms that we're justified. We are made right by the gift of divine love into our lives. And that gift of divine love was revealed in the teachings and life of Jesus. That to be made right is a gift rather than earned. Justification by works affirms that we're justified as a consequence of our own efforts, our own works. Our relationship with God is therefore earned, not received as a gift. Now, often these works are composed of, or at least include, some religious habits which are deemed to be pleasing to God and are often known as children of God. The story of animal sacrifice in the Hebrew Bible, and how finally the faithful realized that was not a way to earn a relationship with God, and those practices were moved away from in the community of faith. But my own personal experience with justification by works was a person in the church my family attended during my childhood. This person had been looked up to by everyone. This person could really pray. When this person prayed, it was like spinning the words of piety and praise, like a yo-yo spinning on with a well-waxed string. Then all of a sudden it was discovered that this person was actually cruel in the privacy of the home. In business, this person dehumanized employees. Their attitudes were self-serving, judgmental, and cruel. This became known, and this was talked about at church and in my living room. I remember listening to my parents visiting about this, quote, saint of the church. My dad knew the libraries, the Old and New Testaments, kiver to kiver, that's Gaelic, uh, Scot language for cover to cover. He knew the Bible kiver to kiver. I remember he opened up his well-worn Bible and read Paul's words that we're justified by faith. And he went on to say, Paulie, my mother's name was Pauline, that was her nickname for the dad. He said, Paulie, this person, and he named him, he's got it all wrong. This person believes that if they practice religion in certain ways, they're saved and can do anything they bleep will please. They've never read the Bible. They don't realize that the only thing that makes us right is God's love. And once you accept God's love, you know what's right and wrong. And if he'd ever read the Bible, he wouldn't be about the kind of life he's been living. He believes in justification by his works, not by faith in love. I didn't understand that, but I remembered it 15 years later as I listened to a professor describe the difference between religion, which is based on often justification by works, and justification by faith, the gift of love. Now, what's relevant in digging deeper into the experience of prayer is that oftentimes justification by works focuses on the practices of prayer, when prayer is often only an oft-repeated ritual. It's a habit worth having nothing to do with aligning with the divine. Nothing to do with being changed by God's love. Just do everything according to the right words, the right tone of voice, the right bodily posture, and the right venue. Nothing to do with aligning with the divine. Another way of describing this danger of prayer is that it's dangerous to believe that human prayer is the or a key to salvation. That's believing that we're justified by works rather than the experience of being justified by faith. We're made right by the love of God. The key that unlocks the experience of salvation is love, not the practice of prayer. Now, this peril of prayer is a peril for all of us on our journey of faith. It's a danger that all believers are challenged to reject. There are many illustrations today. Often the secular news covers stories of religious leaders, often ending with the question, how could this perceived saint, a leader in the religious community, be guilty of such grievous acts? When that's the case, I believe it is the case because that person's religious quest has been one of justification by works, which is earned and therefore deserved, and they missed the good news that we're justified by the gift of love. Far too often, justification by works is experienced as we're justified by the works of prayer. So this is just one possible peril of prayer, to fall into the trap of being justified by works that we earn our salvation. We've talked about 3. That prayer can be a cop-out. Doesn't have to be, but it could be. We've got to watch out for that. That indeed, prayer could just be a badge that we wear. Doesn't have to be a badge, but it can become that. We've got to be careful. And that prayer could be a practice of earning salvation. Doesn't have to be, but we've got to be careful in our practice of prayer to avoid these perils. Oh, there's so much there. So here are some questions that might start you on your journey of thinking and conversation. First, in the journey of faith, what are your personal illustrations when prayer has become a ritual and a habit rather than an experience of encountering divine love? And in the journey of faith, what are your experiences in the faith community when prayer becomes a matter of works, not faith? And what is your personal experience of salvation being received as a gift rather than an earned benefit? Next week, we begin a 3-week journey on the promises of prayer, and you're invited to continue with us on this journey together. Thank you.